Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
With you on a different program. I'm with you now on Voices. And here's hoping that you started your day quite well and it continues to go in that vein. Rather interesting end to the Island Tea program just not too long ago, where it's sort of left me pondering. Is it that if someone has the authority over you and they have the ability to kill you, that you always let them have their own way? Well, there are those who would say, well, it is better to live subservient than to die. Sounds good, but then again, what kind of life you may be subject to in your subservient continued living. Sometimes it is better to just let things play out how they will, I feel it is better for me to die than to live in perpetual agony. So, okay, so you can kill me, so I acquiesce and I give you the ability to abuse me for the rest of my life. So every day I get up and you beat me, you exploit me in every conceivable manner, but I'm alive. I think our foreparents will beg to differ on that. I think our foreparents felt that to live in dignity, some semblance of pride, with the ability to make choices was more important than to be subservient. Okay, so the United States, yes, powerful, we cannot deny that, has the ability to do whatever it wishes, whenever it wishes. But remember, there's a higher power than man. There's a higher power than humanity. Therefore, how long will the U.S. or any other nation who is in a position of wielding immeasurable power, how long will they be able to abuse and exploit? Because we know the history. Big superpowers have been there before. Nations have come and nations have gone. So in a matter of time, the U.S. also will have its time. Okay? Anyway, here's how I'm gonna start this session for today. I'm gonna start with this bit of a clip that deals with the Cubans and the United States threatening to destroy or not destroy, but threatening to take away visas to the leaders and their families of those who travel to the United States. I see I have a caller. Let me see if I can engage that before I play any clips. Hello, good day.
Hey, good morning.
Good day
My
to you.
radios are kind of behind. Maybe I should call back.
Okay, maybe you should.
You want me to call back?
If you want to, it's up to you. Maybe you can.
Well, just let me make my thing.
Yeah.
The last thing you talk about, the end of an empire.
Yes.
Well, maybe the U.S. need a little lesson. Maybe they need a little Bible lesson. I don't know how much contents here now. But there's a story in the book of Kings about King Jehoshaphat
Yes.
and Sennacherib. Sennacherib army was nearly a million. They were determined to starve the Israelites. And they sent a message. Don't let Jehoshaphat tell about no God. Because history will show all the other nations had gods too.
Yeah.
And we conquered them, so your God and you are no different. And of course, Jehoshaphat, like Mr. McMahon, was afraid, like everybody will be afraid. And he acknowledged you can't go with them. So what did he do? He took the letter with the threats and carried to the temple and put it on the altar. I said, Lord, you know what he says true, that he conquer everybody else. Lord, we can't go with them, but our eyes are on you. You are our only help right now. He said, what the man says is true, but you can deliver. And everybody there. Then one of them said, look, the Lord said, hold your peace. This battle is not yours. It is the Lord's. And what did God do? He sent a sound in the camp of the enemy. And they thought that they were being attacked. Maybe he hired the Egyptians, you know.
Yeah.
And they fled. They fled. And when he reached home, he went into the house of his God, and his own son killed him.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at what is happening in the world, the USA, power to strength, right? Power to strength is the team.
Yeah.
It just happened that they're realizing that the strength can't conquer everybody. Because when they put on tariff, and they get tariff put on them, then they're backing down. You realize that?
Yeah, most definitely.
They're backing down. So if you feel that you're backing down, then make them any better. I mean, they could put all the tariff they want on China. Even the visa business, there's more than one way to get to anywhere in the world. You could go to Europe. You could get to Europe and buy what you want. You have other places you could buy. You buy the Chinese there. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So that they have means of dealing with it.
Did you hear a statement from I think it's a Chinese foreign minister where he said we expected a bigger embargo from the US. We are prepared for them to go to put any extent to the embargoes.
Yeah, they're already spread out. They're already spread out, you know?
Yeah.
So, is this thing about kingdom. Let us look at the UK. The UK had colonies, slavery.
Yeah.
What I say? Britain will never ever be a slave. The flag, it will always fly. The sun don't set on this. You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, pick up a Bible, pick up a history book if you want a Bible. Even some of us are afraid, and the Europeans this and the Europeans that. They were once empires. We are there today.
Yeah.
Because 60 days to pray. We have a God who can fight for us, now. Because you see, what they're actually doing is having the rest of the world thinking up against them.
Yeah.
All we have to do is to appeal to these who are stronger than us. We're not in here by ourselves.
No.
We could carry our case places.
That is why the U.S. wants us to alienate ourselves from everybody else.
Yeah, and pretend
only
that
to
we
them.
are alone. We're not alone.
Yeah,
Look,
you know?
all right, let's get to OAS. Let's get to OAS. You may recall they had a man at the head of the OAS who was trying to put everybody to overthrow Maduro. You remember?
Yeah.
And this man, they went as far as to nominate the opposition leader as the real president. And then they came for the small islands. I think we don't pay attention. And we must not have anything to do with Venezuela, not buying no oil, or nothing. The man they move, in the end, they themselves have to go back. I think it's Chevron.
Yeah.
And we find in the same Venezuela. Do you know that?
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Because somehow don't know.
And even while they're saying they have this big thing with Russia and so on and so forth, they're still getting oil from Russia, you know.
That's what I'm telling you.
So we have got to. I mean, we can't just throw our principles down.
No. We got to. Everybody got a brother. So they're testing their strength.
Yeah.
But they're kind of late because you can tariff everybody. And they can tariff all Brazil and all the BRICS country. All they got to do is trade among. They don't understand what they're doing, you know. They really get it. They are accumulating enemies for themselves.
Yes.
Because you're not giving. You had opportunities when there was stronger economy. They could have been helping out some of the countries that they're now trying to oppress. We didn't just start to get Cubans. Why they didn't think? You notice the ship coming down here sometime this month?
Yeah.
The medical team.
Yeah.
That's not what we want. We don't want sometimes to send a ship. All the time we hear in the Western Hemisphere, we are ignored.
That is what they want. They want us to be there at their beckon and to jump when they say jump, and our
well,
leaders.
They're late because they thought all the countries would have put tariff on, would have, please give me a chance. The own people now saying, look, we want to sell, we want to trade, we don't want no aid. So that, you see, because we don't pay attention, we don't read, we don't do it, you know. Because we have friends. And there's more than one way to get to anywhere in this world other than through the USA. When you go to England, you don't have to show your American visa. Because you can tariff everybody. There are other ways of getting there. And our lead, I like Matley, you know. Maybe we need more women in politics, you hear me? I mean, you know, chop your hand. Well, we didn't start. And Marco Rubio, he himself, he should be heavily criticized. You have encouraged so much thing against your own people.
You know?
But you can't love America neither. If you can't like Cuba, you can't like America.
Good point.
No, if you can't like Cuba, because you must have some relative down here. Huh? You are comfortable killing your people for a country that calls Latin American all kind of criminal and so. People should be attacking Marco Rubio. Not to remind Donald Trump that he's Irish, and they were numbered among the dogs, the black, and the Jews. That's what they were. And I sure the all whites still think them as dogs. So we got to do our work because they could do as much as they want. The Virgin Islands down there, everybody got somebody. Our people, wherever they are, should stand up. And those who write these long kind of flowing speech for the Prime Minister, get to the point. We didn't just start. to show that we don't exploit anybody. When they were in Haiti paying 50 cents a day, a whole day, and in some of the countries in the Pacific, where they make T-shirts and so, making American goods, you know.
Look, Sylvine, the United States of America has become rich off of exploitation and cheap labor.
But that's what I'm saying. But you see, we're not saying it because maybe somebody knew us. Some of us like to ignore facts. I mean, you can imagine 50 cents a day, a whole day. All right, let's go and sink it. Because he was here too. He was here, we were exploiting us on the industrial site. While the minimum wage in America was like $5, $7, how much we were getting to something.
Yeah.
And when they had enough.
And one of the things that they do, because in my earlier years after I left school, I had stints in two of the factories up there at the industrial side. One of them is still existing. I think it is Jaro.
Jaro came in late.
And what they did is whenever they set an almost impossible quota for you to meet, and somehow the ladies, they always met that quota. But whenever you met that quota, they put it up higher. So they got 3 times, 10 times the amount of labor out of you than was necessary.
But not only this, let me tell you, because I worked. When we want to get the value of our exports to the U.S., remember that's 65% of the goods, the value must be from the USA. So they bring in the things, and you work. When they go to export,
Go ahead.
To me?
Yeah, go ahead.
When they go to export, you won't believe the value they put on these goods to get them to the customs. So what we started doing, of course I started doing, would be to check the U.S. trade on the imports from our countries.
Yeah.
Because they were going through customs here with these very low prices, value, so that we weren't contributing anything. We were exploiting. They don't pay the property tax. They don't pay the this. They don't pay the that. You understand?
Yeah.
They were those buildings belong to the development bank, you know. Are you aware of it?
Yes, I'm aware.
They were in them almost rent-free.
Yeah.
So if there was a case of exploitation, we could provide them. But we must know the facts.
We must remember our history.
Well, even past the history, the present day exploitation that's going on.
Well, when I say our history, I don't mean ancient history. You know?
I understand.
I mean even recent history.
But you see, some of us, we want to hear that. Ignorant man is easy to rule.
Yeah.
America is fighting to recolonize the world. They're late. They are late. What we need to do now is to strengthen our support at home and wherever our people are.
Yeah. Anyway,
there's the Black Caucus in the USA. Other organizations, we put our case to them to show we are not exploiting. And the thing about the CBI, that's ridiculous. Because after Dr. Douglas was saying, then my good friend Edinburgh, they can't tell us what to do. And they clap on, they almost shut down the CBI in 2014. Are you aware of that?
Yeah. But Miss Henry, I'm going to have to take a bit of a break. Maybe you can call back.
Yeah, call back. Because our people don't understand what is exploitation.
Yeah.
And who exploiting who. All right then.
Okay.
different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
Buster! We run things, things are run we. Buster! Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Buster! Lads and in charge, like for the party. Buster! Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster, bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster, live in full color.
Buster! What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
And I'm back with you, and let me apologize for that bit of a silence there, dead ear. But that was due to our automated system just freezing up and putting me in a sort of a situation where I didn't even know what to do next. Anyway, I think I have a caller. Hello, good day.
Good day again, Quint.
Yes, good day.
Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, first of all, I would like to say, Miss Henry, she missed out a very important aspect when she mentioned Sennacherib and Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat, the leader of Israel, and I think Sennacherib, I think he was the leader of Syria. I think so. But she left out something very important and most important. Jehoshaphat was a man of God who was obedient to the Bible. So Israel had as the leader a man of God who was obedient to the Bible. And because of that, when he prayed, God heard his prayer, because God said, if you turn away your foot from following my law, I will not hear you. So that's the most important part that Miss Henry left out.
Greg, before you go ahead, here's what I want you to do in the future. You see the point you just made? Come in and make the point. Stop always saying this person didn't do that and that. You know, just make the point. We are human beings. We are not able to say everything and so on and so forth. You know that. Come and say. Don't say Miss Henry and repeat it over and over and over. Okay? Do us that favor. You understand?
Okay, I would try to.
Yes. Okay.
I would try. I would just set in the context in what I had to say.
Yes.
I was just trying to set it in its proper context because this is what publicly said.
Yes.
Not in secret.
Yes.
But anyhow, so yes. So we see here, but not only that, on the other hand, when Israel had leaders that were not godly, God destroyed that nation. He sent other wicked, evil nation to destroy and enslave Israel. So who you have as your leaders and as your politically and religiously, who you have as your leaders is a very important thing, most important.
Yes.
Because that will determine whether God going to hear your prayers or not. Now, at present, our leaders, let me put it nicely, are not giving any evidence that they know the God of the Bible. And so because of that, I cannot say, well, based upon them not obeying the Bible, politically and otherwise, economically and otherwise, God is not going to hear the praise. So we are not in the situation as Jehoshaphat and the nation of Israel were in. And so because of that, we are not in any situation or position to fight America or to fight anybody else. Before we start thinking about fighting anybody else, we need to biblically repent
But
of all of our sins.
you see, Greg, we're not speaking about fighting anyone. All we're speaking about is having a principled stance. So be careful of the words that you use. We're not thinking of fighting America. We cannot fight America. All we're doing is saying, in this issue or whatever issue, we are taking a principled stance. That is all we're doing.
Yes, but our principles need to be biblical principles. It ain't just a matter of principles. It's a matter of whether our principles are biblical principles.
So you're saying that one cannot have principles unless they adhere to the Bible?
Yeah, one can have principles without adhering to the Bible, but the principles are unbiblical and sinful. But they're still principles nonetheless.
So if I, as a non-Christian, say, don't kill, I will not kill, I will not covet, I will not commit adultery, you're saying that because I'm not a Christian, they are of no consequence, they are of no value?
What I'm saying, not only are they not of any value, biblically speaking, where they should matter, not only are they not of no value, but they're actually counterproductive to you.
How?
Because those principles, why? Because those principles that you have in a godless context are actually hardening your heart towards God.
But who say it's a godless context? You keep assuming. I may not adhere to.
No, but you said not a Christian. You said
yes. I said
you're not a Christian.
I said not a Christian, but that
right.
doesn't mean that I don't believe in a creator.
The Bible says even the demons them believe that God is one, and they tremble.
So Greg, you're calling me a demon now.
No, I'm not saying you're a demon. I'm saying the demons them have a stronger belief in God than a non-Christian. And the Bible says the belief in God is so strong that they even tremble. But what I'm saying is still in a godless context. God still hate them.
Hate?
And God
hate.
Will destroy them.
Greg, you said, boy, sometimes you Christians amaze me, the way how you word things. You just amaze me. God hates and God won't forgive and, I believe in a creator. I don't know who the creator is, but I believe that there is some significant superpower that has put the universe together, that has made everything that is, caused the rain, the wind, and so on and so forth. I just choose, unlike you who say, you know God, I don't know God. I do not. I will not profess to know the creator, but I believe the creator exists because I see the things around me that says there is a creator. That's where you and I differ. And I believe that as a non-Christian, I can have principles that are of value. Go ahead.
No, but but what I'm saying is that, believing that there is a God, creator, because I say creator too, I say Almighty, I say all those, because God is all of those.
Yes.
What I am saying is that just believing in God, in his existence, is not enough. Is not enough. And the Bible also let us know it is God's will for his own to know him. So once you are Christian, the Bible says we know him and he knows us. And the reason why we know him is because he first knows us. The reason why we love him is because he first loved us. as Christians. So what I'm saying is that the Bible said the demons then believe that God is one, and they tremble. So they have a stronger belief in God to the point where they're trembling that non-Christians do not have. And all principles and everything we do. As a matter of fact, the Bible says, the prayer of the ungodly or the wicked is an abomination to God. His very prayers is an abomination to God. That's what the Bible says of the wicked or the ungodly, the non-Christian. So what I'm saying is that we not only need principles, we need biblical principles in the biblical context. Because principles...
I disagree with you on that.
Okay,
You have your beliefs, Greg, and I respect your. I respect you, Greg. I respect you because you firmly. Here, I have a friend who is a Christian.
I respect you
wait. I have a friend who is a Christian. We grew up together. We played. I could come on my front porch in Connery, look across, and there was his house on the other side. We grew up together, went to school together, fought against one another, and played music. And we're grown men now. He is a Christian. I am not. We are best of friends. And I've said to him, I said, look, I respect you as your Christian. And what I want to see in you is that you live your life that says to me that you are living something that you profess, but leave me to live my life. I respect you and you respect me, and we get along well. You understand? When I go and I see him, we talk, he never says to me, you have to be saved, blah, 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 blah. He knows where I stand. I know where he stands. I respect that. Same, I respect you. But where I have a problem is when Christians try to force things down people's throat. From the time Christians came here by way of the missionaries, they have forced our people to accept their belief. If you did not accept Christianity, our foreparents could not get an education, they could not eat, because they said, well, you don't believe in God, you don't believe in... But our foreparents were brought from Africa here with a belief in a creator. But the Christian decided your creator doesn't count, our creator counts, so you believe and you accept what we say, and so on and so forth. And that's where I have a problem.
Well, again, Quint. The thing is that, okay, number one, it is said that there was slaves who came down on the boats, already Christians. We have documents of Christians existing long in West Africa, long before the transatlantic slave trade.
Greg, that is a lie. You see, people say, oh, Christianity was there in Africa, and it was not Christianity. It was it was things like the 12th tribe of Israel and their beliefs and that kind of stuff. We find it convenient when we want to sell something to say, oh, well, no. That is not true.
It was Christianity because they believe in Jesus Christ. They believe in the Lord's Supper and that sort of stuff. Christianity.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that.
If you go later on the Win FM Facebook page for this episode of Voices, I will try to post the link.
I'm not
to that article.
Greg, I'm not interested in your links, right? Because
okay.
just like you have said, people can put whatever they want to put. You understand? I do my own.
You could research it.
I do my own research. I know my history I don't know everything, but I know my history to a considerable extent. Let me ask you this: why was the Maccabees banned?
Number one, the angel. People talk what they ain't about. Number one, angel. People talk about Maccabees Bible. There is no such thing as Maccabees Bible.
What isn't true?
It isn't true that the books of the Maccabees were ever banned. That's not true. You have the books 1, 2, 3, 4 books of Maccabees. They were never banned. They're part of what you call the Apocrypha of the Old Testament time. Well, after the Old Testament was closed, you had some books written between the Old Testament period and the beginning of the New Testament period. And those books in those, I think, 400 years between, they were called the Apocrypha, and you had books. Some of them, 4 of them were called Maccabees, about the history, showing you about the history of Israel that happened between the Old and New Testament times.
Yes, okay.
They were never
okay.
banned.
Wait,
People talking, but they don't know what they're talking.
Wait, people don't know what they're... Okay, you said they were never banned.
No.
Is it true that during the term of history of our foreparents that it was forbidden for blacks to read, to learn to read? Is it true?
Yes.
Okay, so if it is true that during the term of slavery they didn't want our foreparents to learn to read, so much so that our foreparents had the ingenious way of learning. Our foreparents could read a book upside down, you know. I can't do that today. But our foreparents did that because whenever the master came and he saw them and he saw the book upside down, he laughed with his colleagues and he said, "Look at those." The poor fellow doesn't even know that he has the book upside down. But what he did not know was that the slave could read the book upside down. You understand? So if it is true that you could not even read, why is it then that it is not true that they would ban certain books?
No. Okay. Number one, as you said, they could have read, but they fooled the slave masters. No, why they banned certain books? As far as I know, the only books I know that were banned, well, I'm talking about, well, in St. Kitts and maybe back then, the only books I know were banned were books that had to deal with occultic issues, voodoo issues, obia issues. Those are the books that I know were banned.
Okay.
I don't know of any other books, but those are the books.
So in relation to the Bible, when the Bible was being put together, weren't certain books left out?
No, we have everything that is scripture.
Well, you see,
nothing.
You see,
well,
Greg. You see, Greg. You choose to believe what you want to believe, and you adhere to it. Which I said I respect it, but I don't accept it. You understand?
Okay. For example, Quint, where the Old Testament is concerned. Well, the New Testament in Romans tell us he asks the question, what advantage does the Jew have? And the answer Paul gave, that the Jews were given the oracles of God, speaking of the Old Testament especially. And the books that we have today in our Old Testament are the same books that the Jews back then in ancient time as scriptures from God. We ain't have no less, we ain't have no more than what they had. In the New Testament time, certain books had to meet certain criteria, like, for example, books had to be written by books had to be written by an apostle or an associate of an apostle for them to be considered to be scriptures. Other books that did not meet the qualification were not counted as scriptures.
Okay,
So, yeah, go ahead.
Let me say this. I grew up in the church. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to let you make a statement after I finish speaking, and then I'm going to take a break. I grew up in the church. I perused the Bible. At the age of 6, 7, I could read very well. I was reading, at the age of 6, 7, I was reading Greek mythology, okay? I have perused different Bibles, and I have seen the Bibles changing from when I was young to now. They have been changing the wordings. They have been changing. What they say is that, well, you know, the interpretation over time. Having said that, you are still insisting that there haven't been any changes. There haven't been anything left out. Everything is, I disagree. Go ahead.
Okay. What I will say is that what we have in different languages are translations. The Bible was originally written in the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek languages. And copies have been made. Many thousands of copies have been made of what was originally written. We do not have what was originally written, but we have the copies, we have many thousands of copies of what was originally written. And through those copies, we can easily reconstruct what was written.
But Greg, you just said you don't have the original copy, but you have copies of the original copy. How are you sure?
No, not original copies. We we don't have what was originally written, because an original is not a copy.
Okay, so then that is what I'm getting at. So then how? I mean, does
Because
it does it
the
make
many copies that we have.
does what you're saying make sense?
Yeah, because you can, because if you have a number of copies of something that was originally written, you have a number of copies made in different places at different times, and they are consistent with each other. Then you know, hey, this what was originally written, as you can reconstruct it from the copies.
Okay.
They don't have that is what you call textual criticism. Is a branch of science called textual criticism, where you reconstruct what was originally written from the many copies you have, in comparing them and contrasting them and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So there's nothing strange about that.
So what
But
happens?
I'm
What happens if the copies were not precise as in relation to the original? What happens? What happens if the 1,000 or the 1,000,000 copies that you have that are not the original are not precise in relation to the original?
You see, the thing is that the copies that we have of the Bible are very consistent with each other. Yes, there have been mistakes made in some copies, but everybody did not make the same mistake. And so therefore, you take all kind of stuff. For example, if there's an error, that doesn't make any sense in one, but 9 of them say something different that makes sense and is consistent with the rest of Scripture. You know that one is erroneous in this particular section of it. You know, there's a thing, like I said, you could look it up, Google it, called textual criticism. Textual criticism,
I'm well aware of that. Greg, I'm well aware of that. What is interesting is that when Christians speak and they say things that we don't understand, we of the so-called secular world, that we don't understand, they have a tendency to say, this is beyond you, this is in the spirit realm, you will never comprehend that because you're not on that level. But when it's convenient for you, you see the example that you used just now where you extrapolate because some errors were made, but 9 are consistent with each other, you all revert right back to man-made logic. So when it's convenient for you, you use man-made logic as an example, but when there are things that you cannot explain, you say it is beyond man's capacity to comprehend.
Yeah, but the Quint, there is no such thing as man-made logic. God is who created logic. And because of God's common grace, because of God's common mercy, there are things that even though you ain't a Christian, you would at least superficially get it correct. And when man is thinking logically, even if he's not a Christian, but he's thinking logically, that is because of the common grace of God, because God is the one who created logic. There is no such thing as man-made logic. Logic is a part of the universe that God created as one of the ways of how his universe is to operate. But coming back to what I was originally saying, though, because you say you have to go to a break.
Yeah.
Coming back to what I was originally saying, the Bible says if we build a house, and if the Bible says if the Lord ain't build a house, whoever build that house is building it in vain. If the Lord ain't watch over a city, whoever is watching over the city is watching in vain. And righteousness is what exalts a nation, and sin is its destruction and reproach. Therefore, the Bible is saying is that until we have God as our God and defender and strength, with having godly Christian leaders, politically, religiously, civilly, and so on, until we have that, we are fighting a losing battle. We are not in no way able to resist anybody, to fight anybody, to go against anybody, however you want to phrase it, until we first biblically repent of our sins or of our disobedience to the word of God, and we are obeying the Bible. Until then, God will only bring more and more destruction upon us. And if it ain't coming from America, it will come. God will bring it from somewhere else.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Quint. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, take care.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
What has you so happy? My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it. What? Which network you have? Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
And I'm back with you. Let me see. I just saw the phones lighting up, but that has gone. Let me get my bearings together. And so, yes, I see that call is back. Hello, caller. Good day to you.
Pleasant good day, Brother Quinn.
Good day.
You could, yeah, okay. Yeah, I give thanks. You know, I was trying to call you last week, but it wasn't just going through. You know, I don't know what was the problem.
Yeah, we had some
Before
issues.
I go any further, this is Rascal Lungi. I'd like to thank you personally, brother,
Yeah.
for what you've been highlighting about Burkina Faso and what is happening in the Sahel states.
Yeah.
You know, I very much appreciate that because that's what I've been talking about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that the brothers and sisters in the Sahel states are leading the way to lay the foundation for true Pan-African, for true revolutionary Pan-Africanism. And that's the way we have to go as a people. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I hear you engage with Brother Greg over a period of time.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a distraction. You know? Because what I'm saying here, we have so much problems affecting us. And here I was coming up with this God story. But God couldn't take us out of slavery. 400 years we was in slavery. But now they're going to come and say, oh, we sin and we do this and we do this wrong. That's madness. You understand? We got to be realistic, man.
Kalonji,
Yes.
whereas I may agree with you, I still feel that I don't have a problem engaging him and let him.
No, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm saying, okay, he deals with the Bible, right?
Yes.
Who are the authors of the Bible? It's Englishmen. Shakespeare was one of the authors, was 48 of them. I'm going to show you, my brother. You could check it for yourself.
But I know,
Psalms.
Kalonji, I know some of these things. I don't want you to, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get back. Let me get back to our situation. Now, the United States is waging war on us, right? And they've been waging war on us for over 1,000 years now. These Europeans. I'm saying to our people, where we at this historical moment, we're at the crossroads again. Right? This is the 191st anniversary of emancipation. The African Consciousness Movement, which I'm a member of, we are launching the year for national unity here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. What we are saying basically is that the political system that we have here is premised, set up on the basis that is divide and rule. That's basically because it's in the historical development of the country. Because what the Europeans them were saying is that when they loosen imperial ties with us, centuries after, you understand, this political system will still affecting us. You don't see how our politicians attack one another. For instance, look at the MSR man, Mr. Martinez, right? He came here. Mr. Mark Brantley brought him here. Fine. The Unity Administration, led by Brother Timothy Harris, Prime Minister Timothy Harris, dealt with him. The present administration also dealt with him. Now, what I'm saying to you now, all of the entities are attacking each other over somebody who come to destroy us. So what we are saying basically, that this being the 191st anniversary of emancipation, we are saying that we have to set a new course. Our people have to unite. And basically, we are putting the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. I don't know if you're familiar with them. As the basis of our unity. It don't make no sense, me and you.
Let me ask you this. Where does this Kwanzaa come from? What does it relate to? Enlighten us.
Okay, Kwanzaa basically was a system, a philosophy that Brother Malana Karenga came up with in terms of, when Christmas come, right? It's based on African principles. When Christmas come in the West, Africans in America in particular, they think that they needed something of their own to deal with the holidays that come around. For instance, the Nguzo Sabbath, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. The first one is on a Monday. Umoja means unity.
Is Kwanzaa linked with any religion?
No, it's secular.
Okay.
It's secular, right? To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Umoja means staying together. That's why I bring up that, because whatever your religion is, you could keep your religion, but what we are saying is that we have something in common. As Malcolm said, we have a common oppressor, a common exploiter, and a common discriminator. So based on that, we need to come together, because Malcolm said that your religion is personal. You know, he believed in Islam, but when you look at the atrocities that was affecting our people, he said, no, we got to, your religion is personal. So we come up with something that all of us could adhere to. For instance, this being the 60th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X also. You know, when Malcolm came back from Africa, right, in 1964, right, he addressed the OAU at that time, which was the Organization of African Unity. And when he came back, he set up an organization called Afro-American Unity, right, modeled after the OAU. And his idea is that all black people in the Western world, right, which was about 1 million at that time, right, now it's over 500 million of us. He's saying that the black people in the West is a nation, and we need to come together as a nation, which is the Republic of New Africa, because we are in the New World. So what we are saying here now, based on what Malcolm put forward, the same principles of Kwanzaa is also based on that logic, that our people have to come together because we are a nation. For instance, we are also calling for the independence of black people, the 50 million black people in America, because they are a nation. Because
but Kalanji, you know, do you feel that we need to hear this from any specific bit of literature or from any quotings by an individual that we as a people need to unite? Don't you think that in this day and age it should be quite obvious to us that we need to unite?
No, but okay, I hear what you're saying. Our people always put that argument forward, but we don't know our story. That is the problem here. And we was not educated along that line. You see, okay, for instance, I'm going to show you. I'm not a mechanic, but I could learn to become a mechanic. You see, what is affecting us is a proper understanding of our historical development from our enslavement to now.
But you just made the point, which I agree with. I went to school, like I said, when I was young, living in the Virgin Islands. I was, as a very young individual, reading Greek mythology. Now, while I was reading Greek mythology, I always had a yearning for African mythology, but I could never get my hands on anything African. Now, Greg was saying, oh, you know, they didn't ban this, they didn't ban that. It took me after I left school and started to do things, research and broaden my horizons, for me to find out about African mythology, only to find out that the Greek mythology that I was reading prior came out of African mythology. Now, I say that to say this. Your point is that people will not be enlightened unless they are interested in the knowledge themselves. So that poses the question, why aren't our people interested in the knowledge?
Because it wasn't socialized that way. Now, me and you as an individual, we might see a particular interest that we want to go into. What I'm saying to you, the political system that we have doesn't socialize us that way. Because, for instance, I'm going to show you. Our politicians, they know certain things, but they continue this divide and rule business because it's empower them. Okay, look at this now. If you ask the average Kitishon, you ever heard about the battle for Frigate Bay or the battle for Sandy Point? They can't tell you.
Yeah.
Because we don't know our story. Mm-hmm. For instance, look at Warner Park. We don't know the history of Warner Park. Warner Park is named after Sir Thomas Warner, who eliminated all the native people in this country. Yeah. And we have a historical grounds here in St. Kitts named after him. And it was named after him for the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the colonization of St. Kitts. Because he colonized St. Kitts in 1623. Look at the Berkeley Memorial in the circus, right? This man was a slave master. And people go up there taking pictures at the Berkeley Memorial and don't know that this man was a slave master, and the information is on the Berkeley Memorial. We don't even read it.
Yeah.
You see, so what I'm trying to show you, my brethren, is that we wasn't socialized that way. And what I'm saying to you is that our political directorate, they're not making a change. For instance, Look at, we control the schools. We're still teaching our children that Columbus discovered here. And they don't see a problem with it.
They don't even see a problem with calling the institution of our higher learning the University of the West Indies.
Okay then, good point. That's what I'm saying. Not only that, how you think we come to be named West Indian? Because the white people who settle the so-called CARICOM countries, they call themselves West Indians. That's how the West Indies thing come about. And we don't even consider this, for instance, St. Kitts. St. Kitts is not St. Kitts, St. Kitts is Liamigua. We're not even making an attempt to change that. So what I'm saying to you, my brother, right, is the culture that was imposed on us by the colonizer. See? And what I'm saying to you is that in order for us to change and have a proper understanding of where we at and where we need to go, we need to be re-educated. And that is one of the main functions of the African consciousness movement. And like I said before, we are calling what you could call it a reasonment coming together for our people to set a new direction for our people. Because you see, Mr. Trump is waging war on us. Imagine he telling us we can't do business with Cuba because they have a different system. No, these are people who had us in slavery for 400 years. And come and tell us about human rights and all these nonsense. What I'm saying to you, we people have to abandon that kind of thing.
And not only did they come and tell us about human rights, one of the things that irritates me is that when the blacks were fighting for human rights as a black race, they pinned human rights onto the gay and lesbians and then pushed it. And today, the gay and lesbians seem to have more rights than the black people.
You're so right, my brother. You're so right. You hit the nail right on the head. And that's what they do. No, I'm not against gay and lesbian people. Don't get me wrong. I don't have nothing against them. But I don't think that these things should be put into laws. Just respect them. A lot of people don't. I respect them. So what I'm trying to show you is that the narrative that our colonizers is putting on us is to recolonize us. I don't know if you ever heard of Eric Prince.
Yes, yes. But
okay,
but
you saw the video
Kalanji, wait, Kalanji. I don't look. These people are not going to change. Here's my point.
Okay.
My point is this. You say that we need to be re-educated. I say I don't disagree. But how can you re-educate a people who do not want to or seem to be open to that re-education? What I'm saying is this. When I was young, I go back to myself as an example, I learned because I kept asking questions. If I ask a question for this and I don't get the answer, I delve. I want to find out. So why aren't now, I'm not going to pin all because I've heard a lot of younger people now, and some of them during my programs, I'm going to play clips of young people and how they view religion and Christianity and a whole lot of different things, okay? But the masses of our people seem to have become so materialistic. They're so concerned about how we dress and how we look and how we can spend and splurge and buy the best car. And the thing that is most important to our unification and education as a people, they're not interested in it. How do we go about getting them to be interested in re-education when they don't? It seems to be of no consequence to them.
I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. Okay, how do we get ideas, right? It doesn't drop from the sky. You have to deal with how you socialize. What I'm saying to you, the colonizers socialize us into their culture, right? Ideas don't drop from the sky. They come from social practice in the sense that scientific experiment, the class struggle and the struggle for production. But what I'm saying to you is that our political economy and our political system doesn't center around that, because if you realize recently, we gravitate now more to the American form of culture than what we had before when me and you was growing up.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happened now, the American influence is on us.
Yeah.
So everything is based on materialism in the sense that the bling is good.
And that is
look at our women. They got their own here, and majority of them they got files here.
Yeah, and
everything is fine.
And let me further that. Recently, I was hearing a conversation where if a see how far we've gone, Kalonji. If a youth goes to school with their hair natural, almost the entire school bullies them.
Exactly.
You could imagine that. You go to school the way the Creator made you, with your hair in that kinky, curly form, and everybody bends upon you and says, "Oh, you're poor. You're this." What? Can't you just choose to want to have your hair that way without people bullying you? But that is the impression that has been made on us by the bombardment continually of the television and even the internet. You see almost everything. You see those commercials that keep bombarding you. That is where we're getting our indoctrination from.
I agree with you. I couldn't put it. I couldn't put it better than how you put it. And that's what I'm saying. And we are not making an effort, like you said, to change these things because they do impact us. Now look what's happening now with Mr. Trump. They're telling us we can't do business with Cuba. No, Cuba has helped us in so many ways. Yeah, I can't even begin to explain, my brother.
You know?
Do you know? One of the main ingredients in destroying apartheid, I guess you know, but I could say to the public.
Yeah, I know.
Is the Cuban troops in Angola.
Yeah.
You know? But all people don't know these things. So when you hear them talk about communism,
but Kalanji, that is the reason they're not telling. But those are the reasons why they're dealing with Cuba the way they're dealing with Cuba. You know,
exactly.
They remember those freedom fighters. You see what's happening in Africa now with Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger. You think? Listen to those young people speak, and you see who they refer to? Cuba. Castro.
Exactly.
Those young
Che Guevara.
You understand? So that is why today the United States is still beating up on Cuba. But Cuba is not going to change, you know, because Cuba is still doing what it feels it has. With all the beating they're putting on Cuba, Cuba still recently sent some soldiers down there to Africa.
In Burkina Faso.
Yes.
You see, yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. They're laying the foundation for African liberation. And what I'm saying, that is the mud that we're taking up. Not only that, we are making links, the African Consciousness Movement and the Republic of New Africa, which I'm a representative of. We are making links with Burkina Faso to become citizens of the Sahel states, right? So the link between New Africans in the West, you know, and those in the Sahel states, you know, we're making that link so we could incorporate our people, because what I'm saying, these countries have gold. They have all kind of different minerals and stuff like that, and oil. We are saying that we got to create an African currency based on gold. Because once you got gold, gold is a valuable commodity which does not lose its value. So we are saying is that we need our own African currency. And Burkina Faso and the Sahel states is doing that in order to create a currency that we could depend on, because you know they have to deal with the CFA franc.
Yeah.
And the CFA franc now, France determine everything how the franc should be used. Imagine Burkina Faso, all the French colonies, right? They have to put the money in the bank in France, and France determine how the money is spent.
Anyway, that is of no con. That is not going to happen. We already see what is happening. Anyway, I'm going to have to take a bit of a commercial break.
No problem, my brother. Okay. Thank you for the time. And like I said before, God, I feel so good that you're doing these things, because, my brethren, I'm satisfied with what you're doing, and I'm saying keep on doing it. You know, I'm very appreciative of it. So give thanks.
Yeah.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Let's Get Real on Win FM. Hi, this is Lavi. Let's Get Real, Wednesday nights at 8 on Win FM. Get ready for an hour of real talk that will keep you engaged and informed, bringing you insights, the hottest topics of the moment, and perspectives that matter from the runway to the political arena. Real Talk with Lavi covers all. Let's Get Real, Wednesday nights at 8 on Win FM.
Attention, St. Kitts and Nevis. Ready to hit the road in style? Hosford Automotive presents Fat Off Drive On Sales Event. Get up to $15,000 in total savings and much more, including no down payment, free bid of sale, free servicing for 12 months. Choose between $1,000 in groceries or free gas for 3 months, free registration, free licensing, free tinting, free accessories, and more. Don't miss out with 4% fat off. It's never been easier to own your own dream car. These savings and deals happening now. So visit Hosford's Automotive and drive home happy. Hosford's Automotive, where affordability meets the road. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
Another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they are full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
And the time is 24 minutes moving away from the 11 o'clock hour, and I'm back with you. And about this time, I'm going to play for you what I intended to play when I started, but having going off on different tangents and different aspects and different conversations, which are all vital to our overall enlightenment. Okay, so quite good and dandy. But right now, I'm going to play for you a bit of a clip that deals with this very same issue of the United States trying to withhold our the visas of our leaders, dignitaries, if we associate with Cuba.
On March 6th, a Chinese medical team performed a surgery that propelled West Africa's healthcare capabilities forward by 57 years. The story began 3 months earlier with an accident in Niger, West Africa. A 5-year-old boy suffered a left femoral fracture. After 9 unsuccessful surgeries by local doctors, his wound became repeatedly infected, leading to non-union of the bone and a 10-centimeter shortening of his left leg. Walking seemed impossible, and permanent disability appeared inevitable. Fortunately, Nong Jianbu, deputy team leader of the 24th Chinese Medical Aid Team to Niger and a trauma orthopedics expert, knew a technique called bone transport that could save the boy. He activated a transnational life channel to ship an external fixation, critical for the surgery, from China 10,219 kilometers away. The surgery succeeded, and after 100 days of recovery, the boy's left leg regained normal length by March 6th. He can now stand and is undergoing rehabilitation to walk independently. According to ChinaNews.com, this marked West Africa's first successful bone transport surgery. However, the technique itself is not cutting edge. It dates back to 1968, with the first clinical success recorded 57 years ago. Yet, in West Africa, even basic equipment like external fixation was absent. This gap, as revealed by the Chinese team's search across Niger's hospital, is largely tied to US sanctions against Cuba. Bone transplant, or the Elizarov apparatus, was invented by Soviet physician Gavril Abramovich Elizarov. In 1965, Soviet Olympic high jump champion Valery Brumel nearly lost his career after a car accident shattered his leg. Elizarov's technique allowed him to return to the competition 3 years later. The method spread rapidly among Soviet allies, reaching Cuba, the socialist world's farthest member in the Western Hemisphere. By 1987, Cuba even issued a commemorative stamp honoring Elizarov's contribution. This explains why China was surprised that Niger and West Africa broadly lacked this technology. Cuba has long provided medical aid and training to West Africa. In 2000, Cuba established medical schools in Gambia and Equatorial Guinea, sent professors to Ghana and Guinea-Bissau. Thus, the first successful bone transport surgery in West Africa should have occurred half a century ago, or at least 25 years earlier through Cuban or African doctors. So why didn't it happen? That's because the average external fixation frame was $5,900. For African countries like Niger, their 2024 GDP per capita is only $752.15. This device was just too expensive. But without this equipment, even if doctors in Niger mastered the bone transport technique, they would not have been able to perform the surgery. Originally, Cuba could have also provided financial aid. From 1999 to 2015, Cuba was the world's largest net healthcare donor, contributing 31.2% of global aid compared to 10.6% from the US. The money came from Cuban medics who work in 62 nations, with 35 sharing partial costs. Cuba used fees from wealthier nations like Qatar to subsidize aid to poorer countries, while also supplementing its doctors' incomes. However, US sanctions stifled Cuba's ability to deliver such aid. Washington has labeled Cuba's medical missions human trafficking and even calling Cuban doctors slaves. In 2006, the Bush administration launched the Cuban Medical Professional Parole (CMPP) program, a brain drain policy incentivizing Cuban doctors to abandon international aid and work for US hospitals, with Cuba's per capita income under 1/10 of America's. The CMPP exacerbated Cuba's medical talent shortage, which reduced Cuba's ability to subsidize poorer countries. Moreover, under the US embargo since 1962, Cuba's economy stagnated. The blockade cost Cuba between $4 to $5 billion annually. Guatemalan researcher Henry Morales pointed out that without this burden, the island could potentially have doubled its international medical aid contribution. Though paused under Obama, CMPP was revived by Trump's administration. On February 25th, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced visa restrictions on anyone involved in Cuba's overseas medical programs, including their families, further crippling Cuba's aid capacity. West Africa has been plagued by war and poverty due to historical European colonial plunder and triangular trade. The ideological confrontation of the United States is also hindering the people of West Africa from receiving international aid. However, now Rubio's policies could torture not only millions of Africans, but also many Americans and Europeans. First, Cuba's efforts curbed pandemics like Ebola in West Africa in 2014 and COVID-19 in 2020, where Cuba's Henry Reeve Brigade treated 1.26 million patients across 40 countries, including Western Europe. If Rubio's policies succeed, Europe may face unchecked outbreaks from future viruses. Second, Cuba excels in diabetes care. In 2006, Cuban scientist Jorge Berlanga developed Herboprot P, a drug preventing diabetic foot amputations. By 2017, Cuba had the world's lowest diabetes amputation rate, 3.8%, with only 480 cases nationwide in 2016. In contrast, The Guardian reported 154,000 annual amputations in the US that were 80% diabetes related. Despite 30 million US diabetics, the embargo blocks access to Herbiprot P. The latest update on its potential US arrival per Political in June 2024 was titled The Cuban Drug That Could Come to America, a title sneering in suspicion. The next 4 years may be tough for Nigerian patients, as Cuba remains distant from Africa but too close to Trump's White House. Yet, more comrades who are motivated by Cuban medical internationalism, particularly Chinese medical teams, are stepping in. Currently, China has sent over 30,000 medical workers to 76 African nations, treating nearly 300 million patients and training over 100,000 African doctors.
And there you had it. So this thing about, taking away visas, it's deeper than we can even envision. The United States of America does not like the potential that Cuba offers to the rest of the world. The United States of America selfishly wants to garner that for itself at the expense of everyone else. But as you heard, places like China is stepping in and filling the gap. Okay? So, as I said to the caller before, Kalanji, Cuba is still doing what it did way back during the Mandela era and the freedom fighter movement in Africa and so on and so forth. Cuba is still doing that. And those are the reasons why the United States is continuing its pressure on Cuba. If the rest of the Caribbean had were bolder and would take certain examples from Cuba and use them in diplomatic and subtle ways to unify, then the Caribbean and Cuba would be in a better position. But because the Caribbean and islands that benefit from Cuba seem to, when convenient, step away from their association with Cuba, Cuba stands on its own and is continually beaten down and all these embargoes and so on and so forth. So at some point, the Caribbean is going to have to reach that stage where they understand that their unification, where speaking together as one body and standing up to the United States, as powerful as she may be, understanding that we have our own level of democracy and should have an associated level of autonomy that coincides with that democracy, then I don't know. And one of the reasons why I tend to highlight what is happening in Africa is because as I've always said, the redemption of the black peoples, no matter where we are in the world, including the Caribbean, our redemption will only come when Africa is liberated. Until Africa is liberated, the United States can always feel free to do what she's doing and threaten and so on and so forth. But when Africa reaches a certain level of autonomy, then the United States will have to step back, because we will, I hope our leaders will have aligned themselves with what is happening on Africa. Hello?
Yes, Quint?
Yes.
Yes. According to say...
Briefly, because I'm about to take a break, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
For all who are interested, on your program for today, Voices for Today, on your Facebook and on your YouTube pages, I posted 2 links that showed that Christianity was already in West Africa long before the transatlantic slave trade began. You see, because people from both East and Northern Africa end up all the way in West Africa in spreading their Christianity, which they already had for about 2,000 years. So people go under your YouTube link and your Facebook link for today's Voices program. They will see 2 links that I've posted concerning that issue that give more information than what I already said. Okay. Thank you.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
And I'm back with you, and I'll go straight to the phone lines. Hello?
Hi, good morning, Quinn.
Good day, Africa.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And before I continue, there are certain individuals who call in and I call their names. If I call their names, there are individuals who I am associated with at some level, and I know they will not have a problem with it. Because recently I was...
Of course not. With me, when it comes to me,
because
you're free to do so.
Because recently I was told that there might be individuals who want to call, but they feel I'll call their names. I'll not call your name if I'm not,
Permission to.
With, yes.
You have my permission.
So go ahead,
As a form of identification. But my voice, Quinn, before I say anything though, I heard an interaction this morning, and it was so befitting.
Yes.
Hortensia was speaking to a pastor, but he's into the music.
Yes.
And she said to the pastor, I'm paraphrasing, how have you come up to pen, P-E-N, which is a writing object?
Yes.
How can you come up to pen so many music and so? So I'm going to use this pen. It's an adage, a medieval adage from the Islamic world. And it is said, and I quote, the pen is mightier, or the pen is greater than the sword. The sword back in the day was a weapon of choice.
Yes.
So the pen is a form of diplomacy, by writing a decree from such and such an empire to the other empire, and to have negotiate peace and conditions.
Yeah.
But it's not only the pen. I might add, the spoken words are mightier than the sword. And so when one speaks, person might pretend not to listen. But those in the upper echelons and those in leadership, they do have advisors who would advise them on the right path. So I say all of that to say that I made my comment. I weighed in on as a national citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I want to think that, and it wasn't the first time, it's not the first time for me. I want to think that my voice and other voices was being considered because within less than 24 hours, we heard from our two leaders, being Premier Mark Brantley of Nevis and Prime Minister Dr. Joe of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I make no bones with speaking. And I use diplomacy, I use wit, I use articulation, and I use logic to appeal to the minds of our people, to allow common sense to prevail. Because we are not going to be as little as we are Talawa, so to speak.
Yes.
So the little voices will be heard. You said something until Africa is being free. We wouldn't be free. And I so agree with you with that statement. Because we are not getting it. We are not realize that we are interlinked. And until Africa gets respect, we out here, we would never get the respect.
No.
Because Africa is our kith and kin, or if you want to say our big sister or our big brother, our mother.
Mother.
Yeah.
Mama Africa.
I go that far.
Yeah. You know, I'm reminded of that song by Peter Tosh. Speaking of Peter Tosh, you know, I find it kind of weird the way how people, whenever they want to speak about a reggae artist, they always only want to speak about Bob Marley as if though he's the only one. He's a great one and so on and so forth. But my favorite reggae artist of all time is none other than Peter Tosh. Go ahead, Africa.
Yes, because their songs still resonate, but when you hear Peter Tosh's song, it's like prophetic, you know?
The reason why
we are living in these realities.
One of the reasons why they do not find it convenient they do not like to refer to Peter Tosh is that he did not mince his word. He was not a diplomat, whereas Bob Marley was ever the diplomat. Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, they were two diplomats, but Peter Tosh didn't mince his word. Songs like In the Shitty, you know.
Yeah. One of the things to Prince.
Yes.
That there are many reasons why, you know, the U.S. will attack us and wants to divide us and wants to take away our standard of living and would not care if we die by the hundreds or the tens. One has to keep their eye on, and I beckon the Prime Minister to talk for more reasons than one, because he had owed it to the nation. Here is it. We were one of the beneficiaries of not only the health programs emanating from Cuba. As we signed on to the Afro-Mexican Bank, which was established in Abuja, Nigeria in 1993. We have already borrowed from it. And here is it now. We are not going to be borrowing money from the IMF and the World Bank at exorbitant rate, 12 and 15%, when European nations are borrowing at a lower rate. That was one of the things that kept us stagnant for the longest. So now that we are moved away from those monetary financial institutions, and we are borrowing money from our own people now, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Because Peter Tosh said one thing, you know, the day the dollar dies.
Yeah.
Things
will be better.
I mean, and it's like, you know what I mean? The hegemony of the United States dollar is on the threat. So if we allow the United States to get an inch, they're going to take a yard. And we will have to comply with all of that, going back to borrowing IMF money at these exorbitant rates.
Yeah.
So we have to take a stand. However diplomatic our Prime Minister might be, so be it. Because I myself, I'm a diplomat in my own right.
Yeah.
But if you want to send out subliminal messages, it's all good. Let the United States interpret what you mean.
Yeah.
Not to relinquish.
You understand?
The fear factor is like, I'm going to lose my visa, me, an individual. Why people go to the hospital and die like flies? Which one you prefer? To lose your visa? I wrote a post about it.
You know,
when we go to the United States, we go to the Washington Monument and we go to Mount Rushmore, and we look on the faces of all of their ancestors.
You know,
so where is our ancestors? Our ancestors are missing in action because we may not do a pilgrimage, if I can use that word,
yes,
to the places where our ancestors' mortal remains there, or where there is a statue or monument of. So until and unless we get it right, we're going to be throwing our hands up in the air for a piece of visa to go to the United States because we want to look at their ancestors. Their ancestors are more worthy to behold than our ancestors. And our ancestors are the judges. We may not know it now, but they were the judges before. They're going to continue to be the judges now, and they're going to be the judges in the future of us, our lives. Not Jesus, white boy Jesus. Jesus might be their judge for their domain and their world, but white boy Jesus can never be the judge for our black folks. Final redemption.
You know, I never could. When I was very young, I think I asked an aunt of mine and also my mother, why is it that when we look at our skin, we see that it is dark, but yet still in almost all the homes they had this Jesus, this white Jesus up on the wall with his hand showing a nail scar in the middle and that kind of. I never could understand it. It shows you how our people have been, I don't even know the appropriate word to use, because brainwash is still too mild a term. How can you feel good as a black people looking up on your walls and seeing a representation of your God as different to you?
A lot of the Christians, they don't like, and I'm not treading on their toes, but a lot of the Christians, they don't like Pastor Gina Jennings. But Gina Jennings, I saw in a clip there, pointing to the picture, the statue, the image of this white, blonde hair, blonde hair guy, and said, "That's not Jesus." And he hit it. He hit it. That's not Jesus. I could imagine how our people feel because we were there at one point, you know?
Yeah.
And we get emotional over our Savior. You know what I mean? It's like, but Lord, man, we need to go beyond that. We need to go beyond that to be free.
Yeah.
Anyway, Quinn, thanks for listening.
Well, thanks for taking part in indulging me in a conversation. Do continue to have a great day. Speaking of which, let me see, I have about 10 more minutes before the end of my stint. I'm going to play for you to show you, just like when I was young, I questioned, the young people have been questioning and will continue to question. Here is a young black female speaking about Christianity and her concept and what she feels in relation to Christianity in association with us as a people.
Africans were forced into Christianity during slavery. Okay, before we came over here, we were not Christians. We had something called divine spirituality. Okay, we were forced into Christianity by the same people that beat us and raped us and tortured us and lynched us. Okay, now they did these things to us Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday they gave us Jesus. Now, I want you to ask yourself, was someone that did these things to us, these horrible things, raping and beating and torturing, lynching, breaking our families apart, would they had someone come over and give them methods on how to keep us mentally weak? Would someone that does these things to us give us a religion that is going to uplift us and empower us. Now, in the very first video that I posted, I talked about Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch went from plantation to plantation, giving the slave masters different methods on how to keep us mentally weak, how to make us hate each other as people. And he said that if effective, his methods would work for 200 plus years. That was in the 1800s. And 200 plus years later, his methods still work very well with us. We are still very much mentally enslaved. Willie Lynch spoke very highly of King James, as in King James Version Bible. Yes, that King James. He spoke very highly of him. Now, with someone that is giving methods on how to keep us mentally weak, speak highly of someone that's writing a book that is meant to empower and uplift us, I want you to ask yourself that question. I'm not going to answer any of these questions that I'm asking, by the way. I want you to ask yourself. I want you to think, which is something my people don't do too much, think. I want you to think, okay? Now, he spoke highly of this man that writes a book that is meant to uplift and empower us. Now, the Bible does condone slavery. Yes, I know that there are parts in the Bible that does, like, people, when I say that, people always mention Pharaoh and then let people go. Yes, that is in the Bible, but it also condones you. That's one problem with Christians. They always just look at one part of the Bible and ignore the rest of it. You can't do that. If it's in there, it's in there. Okay? And so there are many verses that condone slavery. My personal favorite is Ephesians 6:5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with fear and respect and sincerity as heart, just as you would obey Christ. Now, if a slave master reads that verse, what does he think? He's thinking, okay, so my slave is supposed to obey me, he's supposed to fear me, he's supposed to respect me the same way he does Christ. Okay? So now that they've given us this religion, they give us the scripture, and what does the scripture say to a slave's mind is, okay, I'm supposed to treat this white man like Christ. So subconsciously, it associates the white man with Christ. It associates the white man with God. So what that does is it makes the white man a superior and it makes the black man an inferior. So that's what that does. It makes you, and it brings you down. It makes you think the white man is up here and you're all the way down here. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that the religion did to black people. Okay? Now if a slave master and a slave has the same God, whose prayer does this biblical God answer? If the slave master is praying for his slave to be respectful and fearful and obedient, what is the slave praying for? Freedom. Well, for centuries, the slaves didn't have freedom. So whose prayers were being answered? You ask yourself that question. And there was a law written in 1705 in the Virginia Slave Act. You can look this up. And that law said that any person shipped over here from a Christian country was to be a servant. And the servant was to have decent food, decent clothing, decent shelter, and they were not to be whipped naked. If they were to be whipped, they had to keep their clothes on. And any slave master that did whip them naked had to pay that servant. That was a law now. That same law also states that any person shipped over here from a non-Christian country, that would be us, Black Christians, that's us, you would be a slave. We all know how they treat the slave. And then you would be converted into Christianity. That is a law written in 1705, Virginia Slave Act. Look it up. Now, there were mothers, slaves that were mothers, that they would raise their children up to be Christians. From birth, they would raise them up to obey their masters and everything, and they were Christians, and they would take them to the slave masters, like, okay, so will you accept my child? Can my child be free? Because they're Christian. And so they had to make another law. It's in the Virginia Slave Code Act. Look it up. They had to make another law that said that Christianity will not bring you freedom. You cannot be free just because you are a Christian. And you are not exempt from any other treatment, any other punishment that any other slaves get. They had to make a law because of that. Because mothers were raising their children to be Christian. And they felt like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and accept this religion. But will you at least accept my child because we accepted your religion? And no, they didn't.
So, that's a young person, young black female in her early 20s. And she's reasoning from her perspective. That is what a lot of young people are doing. So the old spin-offs of yesteryear are not going to work on this new generation. This new generation they are being enlightened. And as they become enlightened, they ask more questions because they are seeking to bring themselves on a level where they can relate to any other race on the face of the earth on equal terms. And you heard her speak about laws enacted to do this and then laws enacted to counter that. Those are facts that she's speaking. And if you want to go and research, and you will see where they would bring a law that said one thing, and when they found that the black slaves were finding ways of going around it or countering it, they would pass other laws to make sure that you remained in a passive or slave position, you know. Hello? Hello? I don't know why these people, when they call, don't have some patience. I'm looking at the phone at all times. I'm almost out of time. If you want to make an interjection, you better do so soon. Hello?
Yes, Quint?
Yes.
Yes. Let me say this quickly. I've heard that.
We only have about 2 minutes, okay?
Right. Okay, good. Good. I've heard that clip more than once, okay?
Yeah.
And like I've said, and I've posted, Africans, for example, in the east and in west, in the east and in northern Africa, were already Christians 2,000 years ago, about 2,000 years ago, and they travel to West Africa, and long before the slave trade began, the transatlantic slave trade began, West Africans also were Christian, and it is said that there were slaves who came down here already Christian. Now, the scholar who wrote the thing to the links, as I posted, he named Vince Banto, and I trust his scholarship because he's very reputable as a scholar. Now, concerning the slaves, yes, there were slaves that did read the Bible in spite of the Bible being kept from them, and the slaves who read the Bible and teach others and so, the slaves them used to say the Jesus who they read in the Bible was not the Jesus of the slave masters. The slave masters were not obeying the Bible, and the slaves used to teach each other from what they read in the Bible. The Jesus of the Bible was not the same Jesus of the slave master. But not only that, but people forget that the Bible also says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it says to the Christians, hey, if you get a chance to come out of your slavery, come out of it. Because we Christians should not be slaves. You see, the people just quote certain parts of the Bible. Yes, the Bible had said, slaves obey your masters.
Greg, you too, when it's convenient to you, quote certain parts of the Bible. So I guess everyone does it. Yes.
That is relevant.
Yeah, well,
that is relevant.
So in the same vein, they quote parts that are relevant to their discussion.
No, they don't. They quote parts to mislead people because they forget the other parts that modifies what they said.
Well, who say that when you're quoting, you're not trying to mislead people?
I'll challenge anybody to that. I always challenge people to that. Go and prove me otherwise in the Bible. I always challenge people to that. And let me say, when Paul wrote, slaves obey your masters, he wrote it in a context in the Roman Empire where white people were slaves of their white masters.
Yeah, Greg, you see, you're doing the very same thing that you were just saying. You've gone off on you're going to justify now where Paul, and it's to do with white. So you want to tame down and water down black slavery by saying, well, whites were slaves.
No, I'm not watering black slavery because the slavery that was practiced in America and in the West, and so went contrary to the Bible. Because number one, the Bible forbid kidnapping people. The slavery that was based on the West was based on kidnapping. And the Bible said people who kidnap people cannot enter heaven.
So then, if that is the case, why then are you using Paul's term as an example when you know that she was speaking in the context of slavery, but you know that our slavery was a different and a more abhorrent form of slavery. Anyway,
Yeah,
we're going to have to continue this on next day. Greg, we have all the time in the world as long as the Creator allow us life.
Well,
we have
don't know when
other.
it's our last breath.
That's what
We
I'm
don't know when
saying.
it's our last
Well,
breath.
as long as the Creator allows us life, Greg, we will be able to come here and speak on a different day. Okay? Don't tell me I have more faith in the
God.
Creator than you.
Well, I'm saved by the Creator, by Jesus' blood.
Okay, so
and everyone need to, avoid hell.
So we'll leave it there and continue this on the next day, okay?
Okay. Take care. God bless.
Take care. Same to you.
Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by The Grange and Carrie Brewery.